Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 239 of The Center Ring. This is going to be the best episode ever because we have Yikes of the Week, and we have quite a doozy there for you. Also, an impromptu clutch or kick, as we have some hot topics that we need to discuss, whether or not they're worth sticking around, and a very short e-news for you. Been a last slow couple of days, but that's not going to stop this train, boys. This is the number one esports podcast for a reason. So that's how it goes. We're also going to discuss a little bit of BRs in esports and where they're placed and if they are ever going to take over. But before we do that, you need to go to altesports.com and purchase yourself a 101 Burglars hoodie brought to you by your very own TCR boys. So that's altesports.com. You can get yourself a very comfortable hoodie. You're probably telling yourself, Tim, it's May. I don't need a hoodie right now. And that's where I say, you're wrong. Because guess what? It's going to be winter again sooner or later. And you don't want to be caught dead in last year's hoodie. No, sir. You need to get a new hoodie, look fresh for when the season comes, and you'll be all set. And while you're there, you can pick up a cool little alt shirt. Definitely comfy. I have a closet full. I can pretty much go every single week wearing just alt. It's well worth it. So go check them out. I don't think their Florida shirt is available anymore, but if you're a Florida Mutineers fan and you got a hold of their badass exclusive stuff, but it's just one more reason to follow Alt on Twitter at Ultimate because they're making exclusive limited edition stuff for your favorite Call of Duty teams, sometimes Overwatch teams. You just got to keep an eye on it, but it's very badass stuff. So that's all over at Ultimate on Twitter. altesports.com is the website. Go there now. Tell them TCR sent you.
Hey guys, this is S-Fan, number one rep paladin in the world, and you're listening to The Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Again, this is episode 239, coming to you live and or pre-recorded. Follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring, and our website tcr.gg has the links to everything else you need, like our YouTube and Discord. iTunes, if you're listening on an Apple device, please go ahead and leave a review. We appreciate it. We love to read them. My name is Tim. Hello. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, and he is my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
Dude, hearing that liner brings back, hits the heart a little bit. Just being out at BlizzCon and, just running into S-Spawn that day, that was a fun event.
When life was normal.
Being out. Yeah, I am missing it, dude.
When life was normal and you could go out. I figured I was going through our list of liners and I saw him and I was like, you know what? We recently got back into playing WoW again, which is just a great game. It really is. It won't last forever, right? Anyone who plays...
It might.
It might. Maybe. Probably not. Give it a month until the new expansion like we always do, and then we'll stop playing.
I thought you were talking about the game. Yeah, our playing? No,
WoW
yeah.
will last forever. Us playing WoW will not last forever.
No.
In a single stretch.
No,
we will
always
play
come
WoW.
Back.
Look, we'll be 98 years old playing the newest WoW expansion. I promise you that. But anyway, I would like to meet, and honestly, if it's out there, if this person or people exist, Blizzard really needs to honor them in some way, shape, or form. But find me someone who started playing WoW day one and has never canceled their subscription.
Probably Asmongold.
It's got to be someone out there that has just never once had a lapse in their payment and just kept on trucking.
Just kept going. They should have some sort of like exclusive mount for that person, like
Yeah,
something to commemorate that
maybe
individual.
because it's like they're what's they just did like an anniversary, right? Like 14 years or something like that.
Yeah, came out. When did the game come out? Like early 2000s.
Yeah, I don't know. World of Warcraft release date 2004,
Yeah, 2004,
November
yeah.
23rd, 2004. I remember I played it when it first came out. Me and my buddies, we did play it for a long time. But like
Yeah.
everyone, right? It's like you play it, then you stop playing it, and then you go back, and it's like I have max care, whatever. But it just gives you those good feelings. It gives you the good vibes. Makes you miss BlizzCon when we went there, and
Yeah, the art style is like so classic for that type of game that they can visually update it and make it look a little bit better, and it's kind of good enough,
yeah, it's
And that's just so
always
rare for a game that old.
update some water quality, update some
Yeah.
shadow. You're good. You're good.
Done.
Do some
There you
lighting
go.
changes here and there, and we're fine.
16 years later, we're still playing.
I don't need ultra realistic WoW. Just give me some nice shaders here and there.
RTX is in the next expansion.
Oh, is it really?
So you'll be able to like do some pretty cool stuff with lighting in the next. Now we'll see how it runs. Don't know how that's going to be, but they showed it in alpha footage that RTX is an option to turn on and off. So
Well, I just
still
need,
like a game, still getting updated. It's insane.
I just need to then upgrade my 980, which is next on the list. I've officially decided. I'm updating my PC. That is the next purchase.
What probably tilted you in that direction was having to stream Warzone the other day.
100% is what tilted me.
It looked like you were playing out in Africa where the houses were made of like clay molding.
Yeah.
And like it looked like just none of the textures really like came together for you. So I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
It's my wonderful 980 has done its work. It's done the job. All right. I salute you, 980. You have served me well. But it's time to put old Yeller down. And that's going to be my next purchase. Do not let me buy anything anew.
You can do it in time for the next expansion, Tim.
I don't want to buy. I don't need any more guns. Don't let me buy any more guns. I don't need my Warhammer stuff behind me. Okay? That can be put on hold because that shit. You're like, oh, it's Warhammer. How expensive can it be? You've never done Warhammer. That is a money pit. Warhammer 40K paint, my God. My next bill is going to be a PC. And don't be like, Tim, why don't you just upgrade your graphics card? No, I don't play those games. I go
going all in.
All the way. Because then I'm like trickling in parts, right? And my PC is never truly maxed out.
The way you want it to be.
Much like a car. I'll drive that thing till it's dead, and then I'll go get a new one. My PC, I will play on it until... but even like here, like Warzone, even not streaming, I'm playing on like medium settings, and I'm still... it's
feeling
not...
it.
I'm feeling it now. Like these newer games are catching up to where it's like, oh... Can't play on high anymore. Time to go to low. Like it's
Warzone unfortunately is not properly optimized anyway, which we'll talk about here.
Yeah, let's do yikes of the week first, and then we'll vent about Warzone because we did a tournament and we'll talk about it. Didn't go great, but let's get to yikes of the week here, Nuge. I'll start with mine because it's a minor yikes, and it's not nearly as big as yours. But I saw this article this week talking about live streaming. And of course, this number is going to go up because obviously given the circumstances. But overall, across the board, live stream viewership has gone up 99% over the last year. Skyrocketed.
It's pretty insane.
Multiple reasons, of course. Obviously, it's become cool to be a streamer, right? Celebrities are doing it. Athletes are doing it. Corporate has figured out how to weasel their way into it and get corporate streams going and concerts on Twitch, and obviously Amazon purchasing Twitch and just them dumping money into it. Obviously, there's lots of reasons. And the fact that everyone is at home right now, right? So streaming has become cool. And you're seeing increases across the board. Twitch is up 101% 98%, depending on which one you're looking at, I guess. Or like gaming, non-gaming, right? Because Twitch kind of has everything in there now. YouTube gaming up 65%. Always talk about how, who goes to YouTube? Well, apparently enough people to increase it 65%. Facebook gaming up, this one shocked me. Well, maybe not. 238%.
Yeah, because even them signing one or two big names like they've done, what is it, Disgusting
like-
Toast and all these guys that
like-
have gone there.
When your starting line was like 10 people.
0. Yeah, like when your starting line is 0, getting anybody, and he's got a huge following, so
Yeah.
it seems like they've obviously
Overall,
carried
the
over.
industry as a total has gone up 99%.
Everyone's going up, Tim.
Oh, I forgot to bring up Mixer. Mixer has gone up 0.2%. Not 2%.
Which is still
I at this point they would have taken 2%. No. 0.2%. Almost like when whoever wrote this article on Forbes.com, it's like they asked all these websites to give them the numbers, and Mixer forgot to give them the numbers or something.
so Forbes just stuck it to him.
Like, how is that possible?
I mean, it's insane when you think about who they've signed, right? Like they got Shroud, they got Ninja. Kind of don't need to. They haven't acquired. I mean, they even got, what's his name? Goliath, I think, is a streamer. He's huge. I mean, a very popular streamer, at least. From what I've seen, he was a very, very big streamer. So they've gotten like people. I think part of it is, unfortunately, the people they've gotten, Tim, like their streaming time has gone down significantly. Like they don't stream as much, right? So you're going to get somebody like Ninja who is tied to hundreds of events a year, right? To attend, be at sponsorships, commercials. Shroud, kind of the same thing to some extent. Like maybe they went after the wrong people. Like they could have gotten so much with that money they spent on 2 people. They probably could have gotten like 20 or 30 fairly mid to average streamers that still would be significantly higher than most people, and maybe it would have done them better. There's just not a lot of screen time for those guys.
Well, I think part of the issue is that there's just not a lot of screen time for Mixer. Like they obviously, Microsoft or Mixer, whoever's in charge in this conversation, I don't know. They like almost focused too much, and this sounds kind of weird. They focused too much on the individual streamer, where like Twitch and YouTube and Facebook are going after those unique events, but to bring eyeballs to their platform. Like Twitch, obviously every night has some crazy ass concert or celebrity, whatever. I know YouTube has also done that, where they got a lot of their top YouTubers to do COVID stuff or whatever. But it's bringing people to that platform.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw an advertising for Mixer or anything even happening on Mixer? Never.
No, I mean, do you go to Mixer to watch Shroud?
I think once to watch him play Valorant. And the only reason that was the case is because I was watching Skadoodle play on Twitch and he was playing with Shroud. And I was like, oh, I kind of want to watch Shroud's point of view as well. But it's literally, I can, hand on a Bible, Anuj, have never once gone to Mixer to go find a streamer or just be like, I wonder what they have to offer. First off, I think their website interface is almost like impossible to figure out what the hell is going on with it. Like maybe it's just I'm not used to it and I'm an idiot, but I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there
0.2%.
with you, dude. I do think it's just
It's dead.
I don't catch myself going there ever either. I've slowly started going a little bit more to YouTube, but never to like browse, like casually browse.
Right.
I should say. I never go to YouTube for that. That's always Twitch, because I know they have all the big events, right? So, I mean, a lot of it is, like you said, it's just interaction with different events. If I'm looking for something, I usually will make that my first stop. If it's not there, then I know 99% chance it's on YouTube. I mean, you're right. Mixer hasn't done a lot to tie themselves to bring people in other than, hey, I'm a fan of Shroud or I'm a fan of Ninja.
Right.
That's my reason for going. But that's not enough for like most people to go to your site to browse it for other, other things
Yeah.
going
Well,
on.
it's like even right here, it's like I'm on there right now, looking at Shroud, front page, streaming everything. He's playing Valorant. He's got 5,992 viewers. That's easily a 30,000 viewer stream on Twitch. Easily.
Yeah.
Shroud playing Valorant easily would get him 30,000. It's just,
I mean, they
it's,
took the cash for the right reasons. I
of
understand
course, I'm
why
not
they
saying
did what
they're
they
dumb
did.
for it, right?
But you're right. You're absolutely right.
The-
Shroud was pushing 30K at the minimum on an average stream, right? And
Yeah.
if he's playing the right game at the right time, those numbers are like what you saw Summit doing in Valorant early on. That would have been Shroud. Shroud would have been doing exactly that with 200 plus K viewers.
The concerning Ice. Did you know Ice Poseidon is on Mixer? It's about the only platform that hasn't banned him, I guess. The thing with Mixer is their one argument, or anyone's argument, I think, for Mixer is what I always heard back in the day is why would you go to Mixer over Twitch? And it was always Anuj because it was smaller, so it was easier, like, easier to grow, right? Or whatever that logic is. But clearly that's not the case. It's growing at 0.2%.
Yeah, I think people are going more to Twitch for that because there's just more eyes on the platform.
Yeah.
Right? Like Mixer, you could say like, well, there's less competition. Well, there's less viewers. So
right.
it goes hand in hand. But I agree.
I wonder how long Microsoft is going to keep it up. I mean, obviously, this isn't going to be like within a year. It's going to be here for a long time. But
but like, are they going to be here like 5-6 years from now?
Right.
Like after, I just don't see Twitch. The only thing that will ruin this for Twitch is themselves. Like Twitch gets in their own way a lot of the time when it comes to bans. And
Twitch is one N-bomb away.
Yeah, like Twitch is like really on the verge of blowing themselves up internally, unfortunately. But if they can fix that, they're got a stranglehold. They're not going anywhere.
Zen says in Twitch chat, Tupac, Biggie, and Mixer on an island somewhere drinking a margarita. And that's, I mean, it's almost what it feels like. By the way, Zen, we wore your jerseys in our tournament today, and they sucked.
Yeah, we did really bad, Zen. So, but we did rep them. All three of us wore them, so it was fun.
They didn't
Not
work.
The jerseys didn't suck.
They didn't work.
Yeah,
the jerseys
didn't
are
give
broken.
Us the right juju.
So we'll talk about that in a second. Anuj, your yikes of the week, sir.
Yeah, man, this is like, so Newbee, they won the 2014 Dota 2 International Championship, Tim. Well, not today, but this week, they were recently banned. I believe it's a lifetime ban, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
For match fixing. I mean, this is like, obviously there's been several investigations ongoing. Several members of the team have obviously denied allegations and they're filing appeals and things of that sort. But as of now, Valve has taken action against them for match fixing. They've found them guilty in their eyes, put down a lifetime ban on these guys. And they're one of the largest, they're the founding member, I believe, of the Chinese Dota Association. So they have a huge presence in the scene, in the esports scene. Obviously, accomplishments are there to go along with it. I mean, if this was an NA team or an EU team, this would be like front page news for, I mean, almost all in terms of.
Yeah, I wonder what it's like in China.
You don't hear it a lot.
Yeah, I wonder what the talk of it is in China, because you're right. Apart from like you putting in our chat, you almost didn't hear anything about it on Twitter. Now, this has been kind of like if you watched Dota and if you were big into the Chinese scene, this has actually been a talk for some time now, like for the last couple of months when they failed to qualify for the LA major. The fact that they were, I forget who they were playing against, but they were like had a big, considerable league. And keep in mind, Newbee is like a good team in Dota. And they just, I mean, it was very obvious that they blew it, right? You blew the lead, and it wasn't because all of a sudden the other team just figured you out. That doesn't really happen in Dota. if you have the lead like they did, and then all of a sudden they lost. And you even saw you can go back on their Twitter and from back then, like even people were calling them out back then for throwing matches. Honestly, like this isn't just a big. These are former TI winners. They won the International in 2014. They were second place, I believe, in 2017. The fact that an org of this size got busted for match fixing?
I don't think this is going to be the only one that they're going to come up with here, because like you're right, people have been talking about other games that they've played in, and like you kind of see there was one game where they thought maybe both teams were trying to throw. It was like that bad. It was really like discussed. Like, was the other team actually throwing or trying to throw as well? Because it looked like Newbee was handing them the win. The other team wouldn't even, take it in that instance. But yeah, this is, unfortunately, because of the age of professional athletes within esports, I feel like this needs to be addressed harder than it is currently. Um, they're younger, they haven't made their money yet. They're going to get approached now that people see the type of money that's involved in esports, and the fact that one of our sponsors is a betting company, and just like everybody else, there's hundreds of them out there for you to use. If you're going to use one, you should use Thrive using code TCR. But there are hundreds of them to use. And it's only going to get worse, I think, and especially the Chinese scene where you've seen issues come up before. There's likelihood that there's more of it going on, and I think it just needs to be kind of addressed across all esports scenes a little bit harder now. Like we're in the big boys club here. You're going to get approached from a lot of people with a lot of money to do things that are probably against the rules. So I just it's shocking that it happened to such a big organization.
Right. We've kind of always talked about it. Like, oh, do you think people still match fix? Right. Like whenever, anytime we bring up I Buy Power, right? That's always the discussion. It's like, how often do you think there's match fixing still going on? And I always assumed there were a level of match fixing going on. Never at the highest level, though. Never like this.
No. Yeah, this is like, again, this is the equivalent of a top 10 team in Counter-Strike getting caught for match fixing. Like, it's big. Like a, former major winning team, a team that's still competing at the highest level doing it. It's really just, it's a bigger story than what I feel like the attention it's getting. It is getting attention. Like, it's not like it's being overlooked. It's just like, it kind of stopped and we're thinking like, oh, we caught the one team that's match fixing. Now, chances are that we should be digging in everywhere to see if like there should be a committee actually handling this. Maybe that esports committee that has nobody that we know on it. Let's give them something to do. Like they should go back and just like watch games and see if they can find it. Like, what else are they doing?
Let's get one of the 5 official world committees of esports to look into this.
Yeah. Like, there's so many of them. They can all help
Whichever
out.
one can find it gets the official title of the official one. So, yeah, it's crazy. Crazy to me. So real quick, let's talk about this tournament. So we were in a Warzone tournament earlier today. Bought by, who was it, Anuj?
Dallas Competitive Gamers.
Dallas Competitive Gamers. So if you are in the Dallas area, or you know what, right now all their tournaments are online. So go check them out. Dallas Competitive Gamers, good dudes. So they asked if we wanted to be in a Warzone tournament, and of course we said sure. So it was me, Anuj, and former host Brett. Rest in peace. First off, the days of pro gamers are behind us. We didn't perform too well.
For that type of game, for sure.
For sure.
We're not like BR guys.
Look, it's not a good sign when the warm-up match to figure out where we placed in the tournament was our best game. Like we came out of the gates super hot and it fizzled. Now, I will say I want an asterisk next to this tournament though, because in the second match we did die to a hacker who would eventually go on to win the game.
Yeah, we stayed and watched him for a bit. That was a little unfortunate.
That I think shook me, and I wasn't mentally there for map 3.
Yeah, because that took us out like pretty early on. We had just bought back actually, like after 5 minutes of running around searching for money to buy 2 people back. We bought them back, and then a hacker pops out and just smoked all
annihilates
three
us.
of us. Like, it wasn't even close.
So that will definitely kind of take the wind out of your sails. But you know, it was fun nonetheless. We had some good moments. Poor outing by the TCR boys, but what else is new? But that gets us on to our next topic here. As we're playing, and I'm raging, I'm tilting. Actually, I felt like I was actually pretty good today. But that's normally just because as playing a BR game, I'm just dead on the. If I'm playing a BR game, I'm dead on the inside already. There is no getting upset.
Know.
Yeah, you know I'm already in it. But Kevin, our good buddy Kevin, who still supports the show, even though we completely embarrassed him and his family in Valorant, asked the question in Twitch chat, you know, something along the lines of BRs and esports, and do we ever see them like just completely taking over the scene? And I thought that was actually a pretty good discussion point, Anuj, if you wanted to jump into it, where it is interesting to me that just because a genre is, and BRs are relatively new, but just because a genre is popular does not mean it's good. And I think we've seen that a lot, especially, and it's almost like if you're having this conversation with someone, you need to make the distinctive of, are you playing casually or are you playing competitively? Because those are way different playing styles when it comes to a BR game.
Yeah, like the way we play it, it becomes a casual game, right? Because we go in, we just want to draw pot, we just want to fight early, and if it goes well and we get out of the first area where it's generally really crazy, then great, we keep going, And so, but like when you're playing the game competitively, there's got to be a completely different mindset. Like you wouldn't do some of the dumb stuff that we tend to do, right? Like if there's something big on the line, right? In this case, there still wasn't much on the line, even though it was a tournament. It was like more for fun in that sense, and
Right.
so we treated it that way. But I think with BRs in general, it's something that we talked about this maybe a year ago on this show, roughly, about BRs in esports, and I have the same feeling about it now that I had then. I think it's very difficult for a game that is heavily RNG based to really be a contending esports title that's going to go up against the likes of like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, where it's very like linear. The progression to be good is, these are the things you need to be good. If you're going to be good in Counter-Strike, you got to have great movement, you got to have great aim. Like those are things that are a must, and then obviously the game sense and all that comes along with that. With the battle royale, shit, you could loot the first 10 houses. And hey, unfortunately, Tim, there's no money in any of those crates for you. Not really any great guns, right? Like you maybe got a high-end FAMAS or an LMG that's, really good,
And
but
by
it's
the
not the gun
way,
that you want.
a team has a bounty on you now. So congratulations, They know where you're at.
No, that's very specific to like Warzone.
Of course.
Right? Like
Of
that's
course.
like saying, do we think Warzone will be a big esport? No, but it'll be a fun competitive game for people to host these Warzone Wednesdays that they're doing.
But
right?
I think it's just the mentality of, with a lot of BR games out there, is that they are not. I mean, we've even seen. Look at Fortnite, right? They had the scene in the palm of their hand. Everyone was eating out of Epic's palm for Fortnite, and their pros, orgs, everyone were crying at them to please pay attention to their opinions, and Epic was still like, nah, homie, we're adding giant mechs in the game, right? Like it's just I know this is not fair to developers on this one, okay? So if you develop games and one of them's a BR, I'm not talking to you. But for my money, I think a battle royale is the laziest form of game development out there right now. I think when it comes down to when you're trying to design a competitive game, look at all that has to go in to a game like Counter-Strike or Valorant, or even like if just looking at a MOBA where it's the balance updates between heroes. With Counter-Strike on a map, every angle has to be looked at and looked at to say, okay, is there any unfair peeker's advantage with this angle? Can they see something that the other person looking at them can't see, right? With a BR game, it's just not possible to do that on those maps. They place buildings here and there and spawn points here and there, and this weapon could spawn here, and there's a 2% chance that you get this weapon over there. But it's just, it's never going to be a polished game. And no matter what, I'm going to use Warzone as the dead horse here, but like that game runs like ass. It's not optimized for shit. And yet it's the most popular game out there right now. And I try explaining to my buddies that the game, it sucks for what it is. It truly does suck. It's a shitty game, but we play it casually. And they're like, no, man, it's a great game. You're getting confused with fun and great.
Or like between the difference between multiplayer and like Warzone, right? Like I think the multiplayer gameplay is relatively fine, right? Don't think that that's bad. I think the map design is bad, but like the core gameplay is relatively fun in multiplayer. Warzone, I think, is the same way, where the core gameplay is fundamentally fun. It's nice to shoot a gun in that game. Like shooting weapons in that game generally feels pretty good. I do think a game like Warzone, they added like that extra element of RNG with the bounties, the scavengers, the recons. Like you went from a game that already is heavily RNG induced to like now piling on and adding another mechanic. And you're right, like, you know, being able to get onto different rooftops. Like we were able to jump onto a rooftop that can't even be accessed today. Like stuff like that. And the competitive mindset is really hard to be like, oh yeah, this is like a perfectly built competitive game. However, going back to your previous statement on Fortnite, if Fortnite wasn't an incompetent game developer, which they 100% are, okay, like let's be real, Epic Games has no freaking clue what they're doing when it comes to esports. They knew how to, they got lucky with the game that they built, okay? It was not even the original game.
I was about to say,
like
they really
built
lucky.
a save the world game, and then they're like, oh, let's just make it a BR because hey, that's what everybody was doing at the time, was converting whatever you had. If it was an average to dying game, hey, let's make a BR out of it and see if it sticks. So they got lucky to begin with what they've built up till now. But they're the one BR game that truly could have had a successful esport if they knew how to put like an esports, if they knew how to put a league in place. If they had just copied what League of Legends or, you know, what ESL does with Counter-Strike, they could have copied a number of formats, right? And then obviously had to tweak it for how you structure it, obviously, to match a BR game in terms of what gets you points and things of that sort. Like
Just sheer number of players.
But there's like a lot of,
figure it out.
you know, like lands and all that become difficult, right? With 100 players, like maybe you turn to like 50 player lobbies or something to do it for the there's like, again, that's their job, but they failed to do it, and they had the biggest title. And had they made a proper structure around the esport, I think this conversation would be a little different today. Like we would have one of the 3 or 4 biggest esports be a battle royale, but Epic failed to do that, and now they've kind of fallen behind, right? Like Fortnite's not growing anymore. It's not a dying game per se, but it's probably reduced in player numbers quite drastically from where it was even a year ago. But they're the one game that I truly believe, had they built a proper league and put that in place, that would have been a successful esport, assuming that the balance updates were also then in line with like a good game, right? Not this crap with mechs coming out and the sword and all the other nonsense that we've talked about that have ruined tournaments, shadow bombs and things like that, right? Like that stuff would be another hurdle for them to climb, again showing their level of incompetence. But that's really, you know, to me, the biggest failure of Fortnite is that they couldn't build a league out of it.
And it's no secret, like I don't like BR games. I've said it 1,000 times on this show. I play them, but they're purely on invite-only situations. Like, if a Nuge is like, you want to play some Warzone, I have no problem playing it. But, yeah, I don't necessarily love it. I'm not having the time of my life. And, you know, Zen jokes in chat saying I die once and I get instant salty. That's because it's not just Warzone or Fortnite or whatever. It is years of half-assed, half-developed battle royale games that just never seem to make it out of what would feel like an early access form. I mean, this all started first off as a mod, like back in like 2011, 2012 for Arma. Well, then that went over to H1Z1, which we've all seen what happens there. They tried creating a league, right? They had that H1Z1 league that I think maybe played a couple matches, and then they had to fold because they went bankrupt because the corrupt ownership. First off, they decided to base their league out of Vegas, and then go figure, they had to go
You
bankrupt.
want to talk about match fixing? Let's get back into
Right.
that.
So that didn't work out. And look at H1Z1. That's a 100% dead game. That was the most popular BR for a while. It is 100% dead. You can't even find a lobby right now if you're on PC. So then we get PUBG. Everyone, oh, PUBG, it's the savior. Oh, this is going to be it. This is the one, boys. This is the one. Oh, it's
The worst optimized of all of them.
It's breaking records on Steam. It's the number one game in China, right? Oh, India loves it. Everything. Oh, it's all over PUBG. And it ran like shit the whole time. And we kept telling ourselves, don't worry, it's early beta, or a patch is coming out. Do you see a 16 gig update's coming out? This is going to fix the game. Never fixed it. Still runs like ass. Has a player base, but not the largest, right? They throw bots in their matches.
Dropped drastically. They were number one on the Steam charts for a solid year because people had faith that, oh, they're going to turn it around. Like PUBG had the right model, right? Like for what they were trying to do, if it played pure and flawlessly, I would actually really enjoy PUBG because I enjoy it now in its flawed state. You know, when I say I enjoy it, like it was a fun game in its time when we were playing it. Like we played a lot of PUBG, right? And so like it had a fun factor to it, and that was even with the crappiest engine possible. You know, had they had to rebuild the game, essentially is what they would have to do to fix it. Had they done that, like they also had something there. Like all of kind of the trend here, Tim, is like some of these guys have the right formula, things that we like, things that we say, oh, it maybe could be good if done properly, but they all mess it up somewhere.
It's
like,
because it is the core of a BR game. It's just you can't fix the core basis of it, which is it's going to be a giant map. That map is going to have stupid stuff going on with it. The games aren't going to be able to handle it. Servers can't handle 100, 150 people. It's just and that's why I think, like, yeah, you might see it somewhere in esports and everything, but these people trying to say, like, oh, is it going to be the next big esport? No. You will never see a BR being a popular esport in that sense.
I think it can be a really popular online esport. I don't think that we'll see it in like LAN venues because of the issue of 100 players, 80 players, you know, even 50 players in a lobby. It's a ridiculous number of people to you know, have a proper LAN setup.
Because even from PUBG to now, right? How many random ass BRs can we say that we've played?
10 at least, right?
You had what's that? Ion? Islands of something? I can't even tell you the name of it.
Isles of Nine or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was. Ion.
Yeah.
We did that. You had that one made by High Res. I forget what that's even called.
It had Black Ops 4's
Black
BR.
Ops 4, which we tried playing before this one even came out and it was dead. You had that Radical Mountain whatever
Radical
game.
Heights.
Yep, that one dead. What was that other Chinese one that was like snowmobiles and it was a snowstorm that killed you?
Oh man, you're right. So there's been a lot.
Dead.
There's been a lot. Yeah. Somebody could get the formula right though. There is a right formula out there, and the games tend to be like they get crazy player bases. Like they really do. BR games
because
they
gear towards the casual.
Yeah, people are like itching to find a really good one. So I do think there's reason to continue to make them. But I do think you have to find a way, A, to optimize your game properly for a large scale game. Very difficult to do, but you have to find a way to do it because that's killing majority of the ones that we've played. We play it and we're like, oh, this runs like crap. I don't want to play this anymore. And you have to also then find a way to reduce RNG as much as possible. There's no way to take it out completely, but like I think the big thing that I would like to see is like set spawn points for weapons where you always know where stuff is. Then
Yeah.
it's evaluating the risk of should I go get that item? Do we want to fight for that item? Or hey Tim, do we want to get the AR with no attachments on it and land out in the middle of nowhere, right? And then you're judging risk. Right now it's like, oh, this is a high loot area. Well, there's 50 buildings there, some of them with 12, 13, 14 stories like in downtown for Warzone. There's no way to judge what you're going to get, how you're going to get it. There's no hey, let's just push this building and like let's hope that an item is there. So I think there's a right formula out there. It's difficult, but I do think it's worth pursuing because I think at some point there will be a BR game with a popular league that's done right. I don't think we have it out right now, though. I don't think it's anything that we're currently working with. So, in that sense, will it ever become big? I hate to say, like, no, it'll never become big, but there's definitely a big hurdle to climb from where we're at today to see it become a successful esport.
Yeah, probably a good segue then into clutch or kick, since it seems like we were kind of already on that tone. So let's get into some clutch or kick, if you don't mind indulging me.
Yeah.
This is also called the e-news killer, because not a whole lot happened over the last couple of days in esports, but these were kind of things that were in e-news, and we were like, actually, we could squeeze a clutch or kick out of this one. So first one here, clutch or kick. It was recently announced that EVO, of course, was canceled, obviously, like everything else in the world. But now they've announced that they are moving to online. Already sounds like a disaster in my mind, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. But because it's moving online, not only are we not going to have Melee, which was never going to be there to begin with, but now we're not even going to have Ultimate. This is partially because Nintendo's online interface is so bad that they can't even host a tournament with it and keep up the integrity that you would expect from EVO.
That it'd be fair for both parties.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is all, I mean, it's just, it's the most
a Nintendo issue.
That's the most Nintendo thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, you have your most popular online game, the only reason to own online for Switch, and you still can't figure it out. Like, if I was Nintendo, put all efforts, kill your Splatoon servers, and focus all efforts on Ultimate. But besides that, the clutch or kick here is there any hype for you or concern that EVO Online is going to be what we see for EVO Offline?
Yeah, okay, so, man, what's the in-between clutch and kick? Like, is there a middle ground here that we can find? Because there's a part of me that's like, okay, I'm happy that it's happening, right? So, like, I am happy that they're hosting an event. I want those people to, like, have jobs in this event to continuously run, so if there's a way for them to make money and do all that and still promote the FGC scene, which is, again, to the average casual esports fan, relatively non-existent, right? Like, it's very hard to just get into those types of games. So big tournaments like this need to happen to promote the sport, I think. But overall, I'm kicking it because Ultimate's not there. And I was already upset that Melee wasn't there, Tim. We watched that documentary. It got me hyped up. And then they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, we're not going to have Melee again like this year. That was like a kick in the balls a little bit already, right? But to not have Smash, like, there's only so many FGC games titles, and I'm just being honest, and don't hate me, people. Like, it's just, I can't watch everything. I only really watch Smash, when it comes to FGC. I don't watch, like, Tekken. I'm not watching, like, the Mortal Kombats.
Which isn't there either.
Yeah, but, like, I'm just not watching any of those scenes, really. And so to not have Smash included, and the fact that I know it's going to be a little bit of a shit show because it's so based on timing, and like it's more so based on timing in that game than any online game I could even think of, with how quickly they're smashing buttons constantly. I think it'll be a little bit of a mess. So I'm happy that they're doing it because they will be able to profit off it and show off the sport a little bit. But overall, I think it's going to be a messy situation, and the biggest title is not there. So not a lot for me individually to be excited about.
Yeah, and I'm kind of agreeing with you. I'm excited because I do watch a lot of the games involved with the FGC, but I mean, anyone who plays fighting games online knows it's not like what it is in person. Like it's just not. It's a game that has to be played without any type of delaying, and unless all it's gonna take is one dude with like some god awful internet, and it's like I wonder how many matches are just gonna be either canceled or forfeited because someone can't connect or someone has the poor connection or something involved here. So I'm going to watch. Do I think it's going to go smooth? Probably not. Probably not. Next here, we have some chatter going on in the CSGO universe. It's kind of funny because I feel like, as far as the community goes, it's kind of split down the middle as far as why are we trying to be like Valorant, and then the other side is like, you idiots, we were like this first. But there is chatter going on that CSGO should change to a 12 round, like Valorant. What is it? What do they call it?
So MR12, max
MR12.
round 12, where we are currently like MR15 in Counter Strike. You want me to take lead off with it?
Yeah, go for it.
So there has been a ton of talk. Glaive has come out and has been very vocal. Pimp has come out and been very vocal for pushing to go this route. I 100% clutch this. Like, there is no reason that those additional 3 rounds on either side will help me determine who is the better team. I think I know at that point if a game was an MR12 game, or in terms of how many rounds they're playing, I get enough to know that the team that won was probably the better team in that map, right? It's not like those extra 3 rounds make a difference. The second part of this for me is these best of 5s that Counter-Strike loves to do. They're 6-7 hour events, and even BO3s. I think the phase BO3 versus
oh my god,
that went like 4 or 5 hours.
I was watching that one, and it's like I'm sitting here working from home, and I have it on in the background, and all of a sudden I like got off of work and I'm like, oh my god, is this a replay? Are they showing the VOD already? And I'm like, no, this is still map 3. It's just and it's like you said, the extra rounds aren't proving anything. I am 100% on board as well. If you can make, we've always said, like, how can you improve Counter-Strike's viewing, right? Because it's too long. The matches,
it's like Major League Baseball.
It really is. It's just too long. Normal people cannot convince the significant others, hey, I got to be here for maybe 3 hours, maybe 6 hours.
Yeah.
Anywhere in between that, I could be here to watch this game. You just can't do it every time. So if we can minimize that, and even if it saves me 30 minutes, huge. I'm all for it.
Again, Counter-Strike used to be, this is how it used to be. It used to be MR12, right? Now we've increased, bomb timers, freeze time has been increased, duration between games because of sponsorships, ads, promotional things, your own content that you're pushing out. Like the duration and time in between matches is now even longer than ever before. And so I think this is a fantastic idea. Whoever was the one to, again, kind of re-energize this conversation, I think is doing a service to Counter-Strike. I know a lot of people are against it. I'm confused as to why, other than this is all I know for a lot of people. For people that just came into Counter-Strike now, or in the past like 5-6 years, only know this. And so that might be their hesitation for change because they're not accustomed to it any other way. But guys, these games are so long. I mean, they are just really pushing outrageous time, especially if you're trying to do a semifinals and a finals in the same day. It becomes excruciatingly long. We see games closer now more than ever because teams A are so good. The economy system also is kind of the reason that's there is to kind of make these games a little bit closer the way that they've recently some of the changes that they made so you don't see these runaways usually early in games as we've seen because you can buy much sooner now. So there are several reasons that I think this is a great idea. Obviously, just time saving being the biggest one, but I think we still get the best team outcome, every time in
Yeah.
an MR12 versus MR15 situation.
Yeah. So no, I think we both agree that I would like to see that change for sure. And then what's this? This next one here was kind of yours. So I'll let you intro it.
Yeah, so like Sensor from the New York Subliners, he's currently a substitute on the team. As you know, in Call of Duty League, and really you can almost tie this to, even Overwatch League, like you have substitutes on the team. A lot of times for Call of Duty, what we've seen where it's different from Overwatch is you really don't see these subs make it into the starting lineup. They very rarely get an opportunity to play unless it's a major roster change, and then they sub in the guy that they want to be in that spot. So if you're number 7 on the bench, chances are you're not going to play throughout the whole year unless your squad is just trash and maybe they're doing some major changes there. But more than likely you're not going to be playing. So Sensor comes out with the video, and he is saying that it's the league substitute system is really like set up to fail because these guys will really never get an opportunity to play. However, there's like a lot of talent on the bench. So what he's suggesting, in which we're clutching and kicking here, is Censor thinks that players that are subs of other teams should be allowed to partner up with subs from their own team and work through the league that way. Like have an opportunity to play in the league, whether that maybe qualify for some elevated challenger status or an opportunity to play in the league somehow. Could the subs team up and really grind? It's really more so grinding challengers is what they're talking about doing here. But while they're active substitutes, clutch or kick, should they be allowed to group up and compete through the Challenger Series?
This honestly, Anuj, and maybe this is just coming from the traditional sports side in me, makes no sense. This is absolutely a kick in my eyes. I think Sensor maybe didn't really realize what he was signing. I don't know. Like, would he is he saying that he'd prefer to play? I mean, he could kill his contract and you can go play for a challenger team if that's what you want. Like, if your whole thing is you just want to play, then by all means go and play in the challengers. But you wanted to be in the league. Sorry you're not on the starting lineup, but that's just the way she goes sometimes.
100% agree with you. This is a massive kick from me. There should be. This is what you signed up for. You wanted the salary, okay? Whatever the salary was, 50,000, 100,000 plus. Like this is what you signed up for, and all this is doing, in my eyes, is causing drama within his own team, right? If a guy is like pushing for an opportunity to really play, well, it's in his best interest to do what he can to get into the starting lineup then, right? Not what's best for the team and how can I help the team. It's who can I, you know, embarrass, whether that be in scrims or whatever, to find a way to play. And again, substitutes should be like doing everything they can to get into the starting lineup, but you need to understand the role you signed up for. Like this is what you signed up for. You signed up to be a substitute. If they hid that from you, or if they told you, hey, you're going to be a starter, and then the second the league starts, there's a mutiny and all of a sudden you're thrown onto the bench, okay, like you said, terminate your contract and move on. But he signed up in his case to be a sub. He knew he was coming in as a sub. And it's not just him, like Tommy for the Dallas Empire, amazing player. We've seen him play at the highest level like for years and could probably play really well if he had a chance in the league. But you know what you signed up for. You signed up to have the branding of an organization. You signed up to say you were in the CDL. You signed up to say you to get a salary. Like those were that was in your best interest at the time. It's unfortunate you don't like it right now, but either wait till next year if you need to wait for your contract to expire, or ask the organization if you can take a step out, go join Parasite, pull up Tommy, and like get into a team and start from there. But I don't feel bad for their situation. Like I get it, they want to play their competitors, they should,
Yeah.
but I don't feel bad for the situation
It
they're
just
in.
makes me feel like, and I wonder like if he's the only one who feels this way, or if it's like, is there just that many players that just didn't really understand what they were signing up for? Because that's what it sounds like. If I was the team, I'd be like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, you're a bench player for, insert team to any of these players. Like, yeah, you might get on the starting lineup if things go wrong or if we need to mix things up for a match or things like that. But no, you cannot go and create another team to go play for. That doesn't even make any sense in my mind, that he feels like the league would just be okay with that.
There's very few teams, you really got to be on a bottom feeder to believe you're going to jump into the starting lineup, right? Like the top 5 are probably not making any roster changes.
Yeah.
Again, it's just one of those things where the competitor in him wants to play. That's what it is. And that's what I take it as. I don't think it's like dumb for him to voice his opinion on this and find a way to have an opportunity to play. Because if they do change the rule based on what he says, great. That's a huge win for him. I just don't see that happening. So the problem here is it doesn't make logical sense. Like what he's asking doesn't make sense to allow subs from different teams to group up. So I think the best option here is like if you want to play, unfortunately ask for your contract to be terminated, maybe talk to other subs before you do that to make sure you are all on the
Make
same
sure
page.
that you
And if
can
that's the
just go
case, like
team.
they could probably make a good team, right? Like the subs in the league are fantastic players. We've seen a lot of them already step up into teams. Mac for the subliners, is a great example of that. He stepped up from a sub role. Like we know there's great talent in the league. It's just what he wants is maybe different than what a lot of the other subs would want, because some of them are getting chances to step into starting roles.
Yeah. So there you have it. There's Clutch or Kick for you. Let's get in to some e-news as we wrap up the show. Very quick e-news. Real quick, outside of Counter-Strike, in Valorant, a very familiar name to some of us, doing very familiar things. But DeFran gets a lifetime ban from all... Is it Solary? Is that how you say that?
Yes,
Solary tournaments. In short, Anuj explained this to me, but they showed up later. They didn't know the timing of a tournament, and so the other team was whatever, and DeFran did DeFran things, got on Twitter, mouthed off, and they said, okay, well, we'll see ya. See you later.
Yeah, lifetime ban was deserving. I mean, he was talking a bunch of trash and got his viewers to harass players from the other team. Had he handled it like an adult, it wouldn't happen. I'm glad they just,
Look,
were like, hey, we're not dealing with this nonsense. We're moving
handling
on.
things like an adult and DeFran don't go together. He did the same stuff with Overwatch. Yeah, sure, whatever. He played for Atlanta for like a week before he decided to step down because he was getting in trouble with the league and everything there. So it's just,
a talented player. It's just he's constantly in turmoil.
Yeah, he's
like,
getting in his
life
own way.
Is like just in turmoil half the time.
He can't get out of his own way. So there's that. Not a huge issue for him. I don't think he was trying to go pro anytime soon anyways, but nonetheless. And then with CSGO, we'll just kind of give a quick little update with Road to Rio stuff.
Yeah, really, we have all the winners now, so we know who's accumulated the points or where they are in the standings. The big one really is Astralis takes home the ESL One Road to Rio Europe season, or whatever we would want to call it, qualifier now. They did take first place in that. They were able to step back up, so they didn't have to use either of their 2 subs that they currently have, which is exciting for them. They beat G2 in the finals. Took it 3-0, convincing win for them. FaZe, I thought, was another team that really stepped up throughout this tournament and looked, good and kind of bounced back and rebounded. Disappointing that they didn't make the finals, but again, at least a little bit of a bounce back there. Nip, another team that was surprising as overall just kind of looked good on the EU side. But it did wrap up for EU. I think the biggest shockers are some of the teams that were at the bottom of this list, right? Not so much the teams that are sitting at the top. Astralis is great. We know that. G2 has looked better over time, so not surprising. Vitality in fourth, again, not a huge surprise, but team like Fnatic finishing 12th. Mouse Sports, tied for 13th and 14th with Complexity. And then Dignitas down there accumulating only 150 points in last place for the event. So some big names that have to rebound going into the next Road to Rio qualifier. For NA, just going to talk about the winners. We just kind of touched on this last week, but Genji wrapped it up in first place, accumulating 1,600 points, which the point system is something we'll worry about after another tournament or two. It doesn't make a world of a difference here because there will be some other ones.
I mean, right now you just had. So the way they're doing it is like certain events give you points, and then that's depending on your final standings is how you're getting legend status, contender status, new challenger status, whatever the hell they're calling it. So it's all over the place because you've only had so far the Berlin Major and the Road to Rio is what they're basing it off of. So
yes, and then for the NA side, Liquid has work to do. Evil Geniuses has work to do. MIBR, like all these guys finished fairly low when they need to be accumulating as many points as possible, and that was an easy bracket. I think that's the biggest shock for me was the NA side is the big boys didn't come to play. Liquid and Evil Geniuses both were fairly embarrassing in this tournament for where they finished up. They should be competing 1-2 and everybody should be fighting behind them. I feel like consistently, even with it being online, they're just overly talented on those two teams. So for me, that's a big yikes. And then same thing. I mean, Tim, on the CIS side, we didn't really dive into this, but Na'Vi tied for 7th and 8th in the CIS region with Spirit and Windstrike taking 1-2. VP even finished ahead of Na'Vi. So the Gambit Youngsters team finished ahead of Na'Vi in this event. So Na'Vi thankfully has some points coming to them from the Berlin Major, but overall that's a tough showing there, and they'll have some work to do in some of these tournaments coming up. Like they're just so. For example, number one got 1,600. Na'Vi accumulated half of that in this event. When CIS region, like come on, like easy one or even two would have been heavy loss.
Yeah.
Like it would have been embarrassing for them not to finish one. So to finish tied for 7th and 8th, that's rough.
I don't want to go into it now, but yes, the dive for Na'Vi is incredible. The instability of that team, where it's like they can get to the number one spot, but just it's almost like they refuse to hold it. They just don't want it. They need the excitement.
Play better when they're coming from behind.
Yeah, they got to have that underdog mentality to do anything with it. But yeah, it's so Road to Rio's wrapped up.
It's been tough.
I think the next one coming up is the Summer Series, according to this.
Yeah, I don't think they announced all the tournaments that have points tied to them, so it's like a little hard to tell.
Summer Series is a placeholder on Wikipedia. Okay.
Now, the next big event is not too far away, starting here in just a few days. The DreamHack Masters Spring Tournament is starting. All the big teams are in this from North America and EU. So that is coming up starting Tuesday. So maybe we talk a little bit about that for Thursday's show and as that gets kicked off.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Well, that will do it for E-News. That will also do it for the show, episode 239. It's done. Thank you so much for listening. A reminder for Thursday's show. We are watching the documentary Gamers. That is Gamers spelt with a 4 and a 3. So look that up. Gamers, a documentary. We'll also tweet it out on our Twitter at The Center Ring, but we will be discussing that. It's only an hour long. So between now and Thursday, you have plenty of time. So go and check that out. That is, of course, in honor of what would have been the Rio Major and DreamHack weekend. So there's that, to end on a depressing note. Check us out on Twitter at The Center Ring. Follow if you're not already. And if you're listening on iTunes or anything like that, of course, a review. All that helps. Join our Discord. We got a bunch of group of guys in there constantly looking for people to play Valorant, Warzone, Counter-Strike, you name it. Uno. We got Uno players in there. So if you have Uno, gotta have an Uno night sometime soon. But that's for later down the road. We'll talk to everyone on Thursday. For Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see ya.